Hey Sopranos fans, welcome to another episode here on Bully Whispers, and today we are going to try something a little bit different. With all the talk of the different characters' personality types doing the different analysis episodes, it occurred to me that nobody really ever did an actual personality type test on them. So, in what may be the first episode of a new series, let me know if you like it, I'm going to go ahead and take the Myers Briggs personality test for Paulie Walnuts and see what kind of personality it says he has. Before getting started, I'd like to take a second to apologize up front. A couple of the first questions asked, you will only be able to see half of it written, but I'm reading all the questions, so you'll know what they say anyway. And let me know if you like this idea and if you'd like to see somebody else, Tony, Livia, etc., down in the comments below. Alright, so let's see what personality Paulie Walnuts has. You regularly make new friends. I'm going to have to go with disagree. He doesn't really ever make new friends, although part of that may be because he's in the mob. But he's an abrasive personality anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and go with just disagree here. Let's see. You spend a lot of your free time exploring various random topics that pique your interest. Nope, he doesn't seem to be too terribly curious of a person, but he does seem to be interested in exploring the whole thing with Christopher's, after Christopher's near-death experience, or death experience, I guess. So I'm going to go with slightly disagree on this one. Seeing other people cry can easily, no, he definitely strongly disagree with that one. You often make a backup plan for a backup plan. He's not that well thought out, but he is always worried about his long-range planning, so I'm going to have to go with slightly disagree here, because he does show some interest, but he's not that well planned out. You usually stay calm even under a lot of pressure. Strongly disagree. He is frantic. At social events, you rarely try to introduce yourself to new people and mostly talk to the ones you already know. I'm going to have to pretty strongly agree. Like, he'll holler at some of the strippers, I guess, but other than that, being in the mob, he really can only talk to a handful of people. You prefer to completely finish one project before starting another. That's just in general. None of them are that way because they always are juggling a million balls in the air at one time. So because of the nature of their job, I can't go this far with disagree, but I'll just go regular disagree. You are very sentimental. I don't say he's very sentimental, but especially when it comes to things with his mom / aunt, I guess however you want to view it, he can be somewhat. So I'm going to go with slightly agree here. You like to use organizing tools like schedules and lists. I don't think we ever really see him use any, at least not like Tony with his Christmas list or anything like that. So I'm going to, but he doesn't seem completely chaotic like Christopher, so I'm going to go with slightly disagree here. Even a small mistake can cause you to doubt your overall abilities and knowledge. Strongly agree. He is very insecure. You feel comfortable just walking up to someone you find interesting and striking up a conversation. Not really. Well, no, he feels comfortable doing it. He's just not good at it. We see that when he's in Italy and whatnot. So, but yeah, I'm going to have to go with slightly agree on this one. You are not too interested in discussing various interpretations and analyses of creative works. Well, of creative works, not really, like books and theories, even though he tries to kiss up to Tony with Sun Tzu. But again, with Christopher getting shot and everything, he's very interested in discussing that, so I'll have to give him a slightly agree on that one. Alright. You're more inclined to follow your head than your heart. I'm going to have to go with strongly disagree. Well, I'll go slightly disagree because he's smart enough to have made it this far. But he's definitely more emotionally driven. You usually prefer just doing what you feel like at any given moment instead of planning a particular daily routine. Yeah, he definitely does, but all of them do to a degree. So I'm going to have to go strongly agree with that. You rarely worry about whether you make a good impression on people you meet. I think he's very, fairly concerned if it's somebody that he is, interested in impressing. When it's somebody like the Russian, he doesn't really care, but he is intensely worried in other senses, so I'm not going to go strongly disagree, but I'll go agree. You enjoy participating in group activities. Yeah, he definitely does. They all do. They don't like to be alone. The whole shark has to keep moving thing. You like books and movies that make you come up with your own interpretation of the ending. No, he doesn't seem like that deep of a thinker, but we don't ever hear him actually voice things like that, how he doesn't like it, so I'm going to go with disagree. Your happiness comes more from helping others accomplish things than your own accomplishments. Strongly disagree. Next. You are interested in so many things that you find it difficult to choose what to try next. He's not really interested in that many things. Only a handful of them. So I'm going to have to go with strongly disagree here. You are prone to worrying that things will take a turn for the worse. We don't hear him talk about it all the time, overly, but it definitely seems like it would fit in his personality, so I'm going to go with just agree instead of strongly agree. You avoid leadership roles in group settings. It depends on who he's with. Like, when he was with Christopher and Christopher was underneath him, he was very firm in making sure everybody knew he was in the leadership role there, but he definitely is very submissive towards people who are above him. The boss of this family said, "You're Santa Claus, you're Santa Claus." So I'm going to go with, because he's insecure, I'm going to go with, I'm going to have to go neutral. You are definitely not an artistic type of person. Yeah. Well, he likes Tony's painting, so I'm going to go just agree. You think the world would be a better place if people relied more on rationality and less on their feelings. I don't think he really even considers that sort of thing. I don't think he's that deep of a thinker, so I'm going to have to go neutral on this. You prefer to do your chores before allowing yourself to relax. Yeah, actually, I'm going to have to give him this one, because he was, when he was telling, I think it was Pussy, he was like, even if you have to crawl, you make your collections, so I'm going to have to go with that. You enjoy watching people argue. Yeah, he seems like he would be the type, but we don't particularly see it all that much, but yeah, I'll go with agree. You tend to avoid drawing attention to yourself. I'm going to have to go disagree. He's not as bad as some people like Feech, but he's definitely goes out of his way to draw attention to himself. Your mood can change very quickly. Yes, strongly agree. You lose patience with people who are not as efficient as you. Well, yeah, strong. I think he loses patience with everybody fairly quickly, so he definitely would there. You often end up doing things at the last possible moment. Yeah, that's why he strangled men, that's for sure. So, yeah, go ahead and do that. You have always been fascinated by the question of what, if anything, happens after death. Yeah, I mean, we've already talked about Christopher getting shot, so I'm going to have to go strongly agree there. You usually prefer to be around others rather than on your own. Yep, all of them pretty much do. You become bored or lose interest when the discussion gets highly theoretical. I think he just can't really understand it outside of that, the Christopher thing, when he has interest in it, so I'm going to have to go with agree. You find it easy to empathize with a person whose experiences are very different from yours. I'm going to have to go with disagree. Strongly, he doesn't empathize with anybody, really, except, well, I guess his mom when she was sad. You usually postpone finalizing decisions for as long as possible. He's always worried about his long-range planning, but again, he does wait till the last minute, and we don't really see too much of that in general, so I'm going to have to go with agree. You rarely second-guess the choices that you have made. Well, he does seem to put things behind him pretty quick in terms of like when they killed Big Pussy, but he clearly second guesses the choices he made, like with Johnny Sack. So in the long run, I don't think he really second guesses things, but in the short term he does, and we see it really hard with Johnny Sack, so I'm going to go with slightly agree here. After a long and exhausting week, a lively social event is just what you need. Strongly, after a long and exhausting afternoon, that's what they want. They want that every day. You enjoy going to art museums now. You often have a hard time understanding other people's feelings. Yeah? I don't think he really cares about other people's feelings, but if he did, I don't think he'd understand them. You have a to-do list for each day. And we don't really see it like we did with Tony, but we don't see him being as chaotic as Christopher, so I'm just going to go disagree. You rarely feel insecure. Strongly disagree. He always feels insecure. You avoid making phone calls. All of them we see talk on the phone. He doesn't seem particularly chatty on the phone, so I'm going to go slightly agree just because of the nature of their business. They can't always talk on the phone. You often spend a lot of time trying to understand views that are very different from your own. Strongly disagree. You care less about those views. In your social circle, you are often the one who contacts your friends and initiates activities. Yeah, sometimes he is, sometimes he's not, so I'll go with agree. If your plans are interrupted, your top priority is to get back on track as soon as possible. Yeah, I guess with men we see that too. He needs to get back on track as soon as possible. If you're willing to strangle an old lady, that's a strongly agree. You are still bothered by mistakes you made a long time ago. Oh yeah, we're just talking about this one. I don't think things bother him for very long, so we'll go with strongly disagree. You rarely contemplate the reasons for human existence or the meaning of life. Definitely go with strongly disagree. We see he has a whole crisis with that in the show. Your emotions control you more than you control them. Strongly agree. You take great care not to make people look bad, even when it's completely their fault. I'm going to have to go strongly disagree. He tries to make people look bad no matter what. Your personal work style is closer to spontaneous bursts of energy than organized and consistent efforts. Yeah, I could see that. Again, men, spontaneous burst of energy rather than the consistent effort that would have filled up the envelope. So, personal work style, I'll go with agree. When someone thinks highly of you, you wonder how long it will take them to feel disappointed in you. Well, we don't really hear him voice that specifically, but it seems like it would be very well in line with his insecurity, so I'm just going to go agree, not strongly agree, because we didn't actually hear it directly that much. You would love a job that requires you to work alone most of the time. Strongly disagree. None of those guys like that. You believe that pondering abstract philosophical questions is a waste of time. Yeah, I think he would definitely agree with that. Agree with that. You feel more drawn to places with busy, bustling atmospheres than quiet, intimate places. Strongly agree. Like the Bing, they all live in places like that. You know at first glance how someone is feeling. I'm going to have to go neutral, because if they're like scared to death of him, he can pick up on it. But aside from that, he's not really great. So I'm going to have to go neutral on that. Alright. You often feel overwhelmed. Yes, he definitely does. I'm going to have to go with agree. You complete things methodically without skipping over any steps. He doesn't seem, again, he has some sort of plans, like with his long-range planning, so he tries, but he seems to kind of be a waffler in that sense, so I'm going to go with slightly disagree here. You are very intrigued by things labeled as controversial. Well, yeah, he's in the mafia, so you would pass along a good opportunity if you thought someone else needed it more. Strongly disagree. You struggle with deadlines. Yeah, the men thing again. I'm going to have to go with agree. You feel confident that things will work out for you. As doom and gloom and worrisome as he may be, like he brings up how he survived the 70s by the skin of his nuts, so I think in the long term he does think things will end up working out for him, but he's so insecure that I can only go slightly. I'll select your gender as male. See the results. Alright, what is Paulie Walnuts? He's an entrepreneur, an ESTPT. Entrepreneurs are savvy, energetic, very perceptive people. Okay, that's interesting. Who truly enjoy living on the edge. Okay, that's definitely true. 68% extroverted. Extrovert individuals readily enjoy group activities and value social interaction. They tend to be outwardly enthusiastic and express their excitement. You can see that. 71% observant. Observant individuals are pragmatic and down to earth. They tend to have a strong focus on what is happening or is very likely to happen. I don't know about that one. Let's see what we got on the next. 80%. How is he 80? I must have answered some questions wrong. He is definitely not 80% thinking. He's more of a feeler. Well, I guess he only cares about his own feelings, not others. So maybe this test doesn't really take into the sociopath aspect of the personality into play, because he's definitely more of a feeler. So either that or I just answered a bunch of questions wrong. Let me know down in the comments what you think. More of a prospector than a judger. Prospecting individuals are very good at improvising and adapting to opportunities. They tend to be flexible nonconformists who value novelty above stability. Alright, I could sort of see that, I guess. He's definitely a nonconformist and has to be willing to adapt due to the nature of his job. 69% turbulent over assertive. Yep. Turbulent individuals are self-conscious and sensitive to stress, very much so. They feel a sense of urgency in their emotion and tend to be success-driven, perfectionist, and eager to improve. Yeah, we can see parts of that within old Paulie. And then anything else? So yeah, there we go. He is an entrepreneur, which I guess in the mob you somewhat are kind of an entrepreneur, more along the lines of a contractor though. Well, let me know down in the comments if you think I answered the questions well, what you think of the results, and if this is something that you think you'd like to see again for other people, Tony, Little Carmine, Livia, etc. And thanks for watching this episode here on Bully Whispers. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you at the next score.